And God said, Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food, Genesis 1:29. God intends for our food to be our medicine, but as we speak, mankind continues to destroy our food systems with pesticides, GMOs, over-farming, and nutrient-void soil. Today we'll talk about what you can do to get the right nutrition and improve your health. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Skywatch Television Studios. I'm Joe Horn. We are joined in the studio today by the Skywatch investigative team and some members of Eden's Essentials, and I'm going to introduce them to you right now. He's a certified holistic health coach through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and Product Development Manager of Eden's Essentials, Daniel Belt. Thank you, Joe. She's a board-certified holistic health practitioner and head of operations for the Eden's Essentials online store, Brie Graffia.
Board-certified.
That's right. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But for those at home, let's start with you, Daniel. For those at home that heard something about Eden's Essentials, what is it? If you're just joining the program, you may not be aware of the fact that Skywatch Television also works with our partner ministry, Eden's Essentials. This was done in response to a series of actually those of us on panel who struggled for years and years and years with chronic disease, autoimmune disease, some warding off nefarious disease. Tom, a former type 2 diabetic, keyword former, who did the whole gambit of medicine, traditional medicine, antibiotics, medications, and found ourselves slipping further and further and further into disease. So none of this was the cure. None of this was going to help us climb out of the quicksand that arrested our lives. And I'm not going to relitigate my personal testimony. Go back if you're curious and look at two books that one Daniel and I put out called Unlocking Eden, and then my personal book, Time Bomb. And you'll see a picture of me on the cover with a bomb sitting in my digestive tract. You know, where I itemized the 20 years of Crohn's-like symptoms. I had diverticulitis, diverticulosis, prostatitis, prostodynia, pleurisy. Anyway, but all of these diseases that had conventional labels that I was offering interventions for that really did not help me were all a side effect of an underlying root cause having to do with gut and why our guts have been destroyed through all of the foods that we eat today in this country. We call it the SAD diet. Standard American diet. And if you're not being super proactive to navigate the disease that is in every bowl of whatever you're eating every day, there's almost a guarantee, Daniel, isn't there? The world's leading holistic doctors and neuroscientists now agree that more than 80% of Americans are right now walking around with their time bomb.
Yeah.
And it will soon be revealed in the forms of cancer, autoimmune, digestive disorders, Crohn's disease. Kids. Statistically, that would not have seen things like Crohn's 20 years ago, where there might be 1 in 30 to 50. Now it's almost commonplace classroom now that each classroom has at least one child, very young age, dealing with digestive issues. Well, it's because we've killed our gut flora, and we're not going to spend the whole show getting into all of that. But the response, this ministry wanted to set about finding ways to help people navigate the nutritional gaming. So in order to, let me just explain, in order to get nutrition into your body, even if you're eating healthy leafy greens that are labeled organic, they might be nutritionally void, not having enough calcium, iron, the nutrients, the heavy minerals that we actually need, or they're being blocked by heavy metal buildups in our bodies that are basically deterrents from the minerals that we need, blocking the pathway, in other words, that requires detox. We try to take the complexity out of getting our health back naturally and holistically, and one of the ways to get nutrient-rich nutrients and vitamins and minerals into your body is whole food supplementation. And so a couple of years ago, I reached out to Daniel Belt, who's with us here today, and I said, Daniel, you're the guy with 20 years plus in the field of working with some of the largest nutritionally based supplement stores and businesses in the U.S. You've seen everything from organic label gaming, where people are swallowing disease, but they're paying big money for it because they believe this is going to put their health back on track. You've seen through the label gaming and how the FDA allows for so much that we really can't even trust, unfortunately, bottles that say organic. We really can't. There's so many games. We work with some of the most premier if not the most premier, holistically clean supplement manufacturing partners in the U.S., bar none.
Yep.
And they've disclosed to us, we've been through the factories, Daniel, they've disclosed to us that they get raw materials from organic growers. They have a 70% refusal rate on those food-based nutrients because of the presence of biosediments, things like pesticides, glyphosate. So you have people taking liver detox because they're trying to get their health back, and they're swallowing pesticides. It's total madness. It's total madness. So we brought Daniel Belt in.
Yep.
Daniel, for the viewers that are just joining us that are still trying to catch up with my warp speed speech, what is Eden's Essentials? I mean, I've established it as a nutrient line that we make available through edensessentials.com. But tell us why we launched this, and tell us how we get our nutrient-based supplementation and why it's so clean.
Well, for all the reasons you just stated, it's very comprehensive. It's so complex to navigate these very difficult places, the supplements, personal care. Those things are a dirty, dirty game. And I think most of us are pretty aware that that's the case. And so when we launched Eden's and we wanted to provide some of these alternatives, and like you said, the label game. So like the 70% rejection rate on organic materials because they're either contaminated or don't contain the profiles that are necessary of nutrition that we need for our supplementation to be able to help people. But we launched Eden's for much more than that. We had a vision. We didn't quite know how it turned out, but it's coming to fruition now. And we want to teach people. We want to restore the covenant between God's creation and the way that the earth operates, because there's a way that everything is meant to happen. And we've really broken that covenant. We've obligated our responsibilities off to others, and understandably so. Like, I want more time with my wife or my husband or my children, and we do these things for time. But what we've really done is broken the covenant. The first gift ever that we ever got from God was a garden to live inside of as immortal beings, that with completely free of suffering and disease. And this is the paradigm by which we are created. And those are the laws, those natural laws still exist. And we just walk further and further from those things. So it's to establish that covenant, and that means that we're good stewards over the soil and the land, because while we'll talk about glyphosate, and we talk about these like weed killers, pesticides, is what you alluded to, it's actually an antibiotic.
Right.
And I don't think people realize the gravity of what that means to destroy the ecology and the soil. Is we are the dirt, the salt of the earth, and we're the dust. And we are made directly of what goes inside of our mouth. Literally everything in you is created from only what went in your mouth first. And so that's a vital and sacred relationship, one we've not done well having a strong covenant with. And so part of this is to provide them the tools, but we also want to teach people, and hopefully in the very near future, we're going to have our own programming that's going to help them understand like their choices and how to govern their homes and like their space and their land and their families, and then provide them the tools and alternatives that we can with supplementation.
Well, let's throw some B-roll up on the screen right now. This is the new Return to Eden studio. This is what you're seeing right now. And out of this studio, that is the total focus, Daniel. It's not just that we're here to sell a bunch of stuff.
Right.
It's going to be free content that we want viewers to be able to latch onto, to hold on to. I plan to talk about prostate health from a personal experience, real life, as it was lived out scenario. Gut health, as I went through all of the stuff that did not work, that I blew a bunch of money on, and here are the almost free things that you can do to start rebuilding your gut. And then where diet fails and where nutrients are not available in foods, here are the kinds of supplements that you'll get a big bang out of in terms of your money out to your return. So let's switch over to Bree. Now, Bree, everybody here is so proud. You recently finished schooling. Before we get into that, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what brought you to Eden's. You're just finishing schooling now to become a holistic health practitioner, board certification, the whole nine. But also the growth that you've seen just in the last year heading the online store for Eden's Essentials, the growth, the kind of feedback that you're getting from customers with the products that are using them now.
Absolutely. So upon arriving at Eden's, or shortly after, one of the really wonderful opportunities that was presented to me was to go back to school. And I was super excited because my husband and I had actually talked about doing that after I read Time Bomb.
Yeah.
I said maybe one day it'd be something in the future that I'd want to do just for our family, just for knowledge, because there's a lot of garbage information out there. So then when I met the creators of Eden's, I couldn't believe that you guys wanted to do that. And you guys had talked about shows and different things that maybe, some information. And I really loved the idea of helping give information to people as it pertains to healthy living.
Yeah.
That's so lacking. And so anyway, so I got to go back to school, and then I just completed it and became a board certified holistic health practitioner. And I'm loving that. But even more so, I think coming to work at Eden's, I realized people were ill, but I didn't realize how many people are living with ailments.
Right.
And so it just became really devastating. But the thing that I love about the growth that I've seen in the last year is repeat customers and new customers coming and saying, we love your products as much as you do. Like, they're helping us. I'm seeing change in my life. I'm seeing freedom and things. And that is my absolute favorite thing about the job. My favorite thing about the week, probably.
It's usually fulfilling. It really and truly is,
Yeah.
especially as she's not going to go into all the details, but as a person, you used to struggle with autoimmune reactions, swelling in your face, gut
Right.
issues. So you've been there before.
Absolutely.
And you've lived it out to see improvement. And look, it's not about being perfect. There's probably not a person on this panel that doesn't have some degree of having to continue to manage things that we used to struggle greatly with that now poke its head up every now and then. We work through, sometimes we adjust the protocol, but it's about doing the absolute best, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
With where you're at, what you can do, and living your best quality of life.
Also having tools to help manage it, though, because
Right.
beforehand I would kind of search through supplements of different things. I didn't know if they were clean. I didn't know the quality. I didn't know anything about that. And to be completely honest, I was skeptical. Even when we get new things, you think I'd stop being skeptical by now, but I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work for me. My body's weird. I mean, it does have to do with bio-individuality, but there hasn't been something yet that I haven't added to my regime that from Eden's Essentials that for me personally, it has helped me manage issues that are from years of destroying my body and
Sure.
abusing
Through
it,
ignorance.
unknowing. Yes, exactly. But you are accountable for what you know. So I changed a lot of things over the course of what I learned in school. It added so much, and I knew, okay, God has given me the power to change my circumstances. I just need to figure out the lock and key. And having those tools has really been essential.
Yeah, and it's really, I'd say, like, I've worked pretty closely with Bree now for a year, and I would say she definitely came in with the talent and the things that we needed. But I would say that your conviction has been largely increased by your ability to have knowledge,
Yeah.
right? That is what has convicted you more to these things as you've come to a greater understanding of how these laws directly apply to your life. You feel convicted to do it, and therefore you're much more likely to carry through. And that's,
That
again, that's the
translates.
essence of Eden's and what when I was going on about wanting to teach people. Because
Yeah.
if we can really give them an intrinsic knowledge in themselves where they understand how it applies to them in their life and their lineage, most importantly, your children, your parents,
Yeah.
we can affect all their lives, just like Tom and his diabetes. We didn't get to the root of that till much later in his own life. So, but it really came from the affect of knowledge. And so, and I've seen it in her in growth and how she's
You've
moved
seen it-
into her role.
You've seen it in my husband, too.
Yeah,
You've
absolutely.
seen
It
absolute
has
gains
this-
and different things with him as well.
Well, it's actually everybody working at Skywatch Television. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody in America right now is under a time bomb assault, whether they know they are or not. And especially if they have a sedentary lifestyle and their idea of going out to dinner is a fast food restaurant. Because Daniel said it earlier, you are what you eat. The Bible says
Right.
that. The
Right.
herbs of the field. You quoted
Right.
that when we were coming onto this program. And so, but we've all became even more believers, Bree and Daniel. You're the primary ones that are heading up all this, or also people that work with you in those departments. But 2 years ago, whatever it was, my doctor telling me I'm going to have to go on insulin, and I didn't want to do that. I came and talked to you guys. Well, before you do that, try this. And I got on Eden's Essential Supplements, and I wasn't sleeping well either, which also then has this ripple effect.
Sure.
Got on CBD oil, best sleep ever. I dream in deep sleep now, which
Yes.
I hadn't done for decades. Even my eyesight and stuff has improved. I had to wear glasses for 20 some years. I'm not wearing glasses. And so the ripple effect of controlled blood sugar is just amazing. Oh, I checked my blood, by the way, before I came over here this morning. It was 90. It was
Right.
almost 300 a couple of years ago. And I've made no difference whatsoever to the way I live other than I eat a little bit cleaner, but it's almost all supplementation. One other thing I would say is I am so proud of what you guys are doing, guys, girls are doing. Like the other day, I watched your update on Eden's B complex.
Right.
But you always are also telling people just a lot of free stuff you can do. Okay,
Yeah,
you do
that.
need to supplement because B isn't in food anymore. Therefore, you
Right.
got to get it from somewhere, and you need it. And here's the reasons. But here's some foods you can eat, and if you can find good, clean versions
Right.
of it, this is just all free. Just
Right.
instead of getting it at maybe the big box, get it over here. But it's the same food.
And
Right.
sometimes people have really specific, huge needs in areas where they're very void. So even if they were eating a decent food, they might need 6 months of something to really help bring those levels up. So they might be working with a holistic doctor or somebody that says, we need to get your B up. And then, of course, you get into methylation, a whole bunch of other shows we're not going to talk about today. But let's stay right on track here. Daniel, so if you're new to the program, if you haven't seen previous shows on Eden's and you're starting to kind of wrap your head around, okay, I get it. They're a TV ministry. They also have this other ministry where they provide nutrient dense, totally clean nutrition via capsule and liquid form, herbs and things, a huge variety. Tell us specifically, what are some of the examples of a shopper that might visit edensessentials.com, might they see on that website? And then let's talk about some of the stuff, because we're always adding new things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the new things that are coming.
Yeah. Well, it is really exciting. Like when we launched this, we had planned on it being much smaller in scale, and I kind of had a
18 SKUs or something.
No, 4.
Yeah.
Actually was the initial one. And I had kind of a 3-year plan and a 5-year plan is what I thought was appropriate for us to be able to get to, but we've been able to greatly accelerate that.
Yeah.
And I've got to thank our partners as well. They've done an amazing job of breaking the mold. They've allowed
work
us
hard.
to do
They
things
work hard
that
for us.
nothing is, as far as I can tell, nobody's ever been able to do before in this realm. And it's going to really show itself in the future, because now I personally have much more hand in formulation.
Right.
And so that's going to allow us a much broader scope. I try to really cover the basics first, but we're now going to be able to move into everything we really want. And so
Right.
when you look at what we have now, we have, like Eden's mushrooms is probably the really big one, because, in my view, like mushrooms is really the future mycorrhizal supplementation.
Polysaccharides.
Right,
There's so many layers to mushrooms.
The science is so overwhelming. There's no scenario where I can even keep up hardly.
No, it's not
just with the data that's coming out currently, let alone what's historic. So it really, and in my view, this is the real star of everything that we have going on.
Well, you
here.
call
And
it the atom bomb or whatever.
Well, the nuclear option.
Yeah, the
no,
nuclear.
they're hugely powerful.
Within mushrooms is what's called chitin. It is kind of the structure, and that's very hard to actually get at. You actually have to boil it, or extract it in some
Sure.
way, carbon extraction, or heat it. Ours is fermented, and that basically unlocks it, gives it prebiotic, postbiotic, and probiotic effects. It's adaptogenic, and it helps your body deal with not just emotional stress, but also physiological stress.
Right.
Yeah, and this is the National Institute of Health. This is the top American
Yes.
scientists, and they're saying, fermented mushrooms like the ones we offer through Eden's Essentials, they even have said that it can help with keeping you from getting things like coronavirus. So it's a very potent natural product.
Yeah, the applications for viral, cancer aspects, all kind. I mean, it's blood sugar, adaptive immunity. It covers so many subjects. You can't even cover them all.
Sometimes when you say we don't have time in the show, you really could probably make it work in 3 minutes. This is not one of them.
Yeah, this is not
literally.
Yeah, it's actually not in 3 hours. Like I could hit the high points in 3 hours.
But for new viewers, so
Right.
we got mushrooms.
So we got mushrooms, we got
vitamin B.
fermented turmeric and ginger together, and that's great for digestion, stress, inflammation.
Turmeric was one of the key supplements that my father used to reverse his type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
It helps a lot with
Yeah.
blood sugar regulation in the body. And
Yeah, and like you said, B vitamins were essential for a whole bevy of different issues.
vitamin C.
And we've really tried to cover all of the basics. And there's a couple of exceptions. One, for example, is I haven't brought any oils yet because I didn't have faith in the way that they're shipped. Here's a real thing that people don't understand about, like, especially oil supplementation, is like a lot of times when they get shipped to another location, they get exposed to these extremely high heats, and that's extremely damaging to oil.
Right.
And what becomes negative or positive in oil will actually become negative.
Right.
And so we just really want to protect that process. We've had some new products come down recently, the Eden's glutathione, which I think is just really instrumental for a whole host of things, but really on the most basic level of
Glutathione's a huge contributor to methylation.
Yeah, and that's, again,
Yes.
digestion, how the switches go on and off, whether you can absorb something or not, or process it or
And
not.
I don't want to lose people. We're saying words like methylation, digestion,
Right.
but basically methylation in a nutshell is the body taking nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and converting those into usable or storable forms in your body so that then the body can then route them to the production of hormones or the production of adrenaline or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
It's exactly why like supplementation is not enough. You know what I mean? Like
It's
this is
not,
what
yeah.
right. And
It has to be a
but these are
lifestyle.
the tools that help get us to that right place because you eat as clean as anybody I know.
Right.
But you still have to work your way to till you can do something and like glutathione
There
is
are
something.
things, for example, that I will do for life. I will always choose to take liver detox because of the environment we live in. Even if you eat as clean as a whistle, guys, you're still driving behind the guy that's in front of you. And what's his brake dust doing? It's up in the air. Is that being filtered out by your car? I doubt it, okay? But then when glyphosate, people spray this stuff all over the agriculture. What happens when it begins to warm up? All that stuff floats into the atmosphere and then becomes it
Goes
starts
in
to
the
lay down,
groundwater.
goes into the atmosphere and it's in the air and we're breathing it. My point is, here's my deal. Because if you're just joining us, you've missed out on so much of the infrastructure that gets you to the point where you understand what Eden's is all about. But Joe Horn, my deal, and you know this, Daniel, because you're the same and so's Bree. If I will not put it in my body, I won't sell it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Well, and that's
If it's not absolutely, completely, and utterly pure, free of
Yeah.
contamination, particles,
yeah,
glass, sediment, sand.
filler.
Is this making sense? Filler. We had one distributor say we rejected turmeric, which was what my father used to, in part, reverse his type 2 diabetes because when they put it under a microscope, it was dyed carrots. These are the organic growers that you're paying $79 a bottle for. So the point is, if I won't put it in my body, it's not in our line, period. I can't, as a person with MTHFR, I cannot afford to take chances or gamble with my methylation. It's got to be absolutely clean. So I take our liver detox.
And let me ask one other thing. I want to make sure we get this said today before we move out of here. You mentioned a moment ago new products. Bree and Daniel, I've heard both of you at different times make the comment that your skin is the largest organ of your body. Now, that's kind of a, for an old, corn huckster like me, I wouldn't even think of that.
Yeah.
But that means that everything that you are putting on your body, whether
Yep.
it's soap or shampoo or hand creams or whatever else, if those have elements in them that are, hard on your system, you're absorbing this
You
stuff
are.
through
Yeah.
your skin. So
Into your bloodstream.
So,
Yeah,
so
your lymphatic
as I
system.
understand it, and I don't know if you're ready to talk about any of these, but I understand we are getting ready to introduce new product line that have to do with things like skincare and that.
It's imminent. Like we're really on the cusp of this being in our hands and getting it into the store. And as much as I've especially historically maligned the supplement industry for its business practices or lack thereof or ethics and such, personal care is a dirtier game. It's the dirtiest game.
Yeah.
And
I asked Daniel to help us a year ago with toothpaste, and he is still working on it.
exactly.
Well, think about it. You have all these lymph nodes in your mouth, tonsils in the back. People are brushing their
Put it in
teeth
your
with
mouth.
fluoride.
That's the fastest way to get stuff into your bloodstream anyways, is like underneath your tongue and in your mouth. So if you put something in your mouth, that gets into your bloodstream almost immediately.
Let me take just 30 seconds if I can, and then I'll give it back to you, I swear, Daniel. But picture a world where you get up in the morning and you put your coffee on a 30-second auto deal through a little plastic vial, which is rich with phthalates and bisphenol A, products that tinker with your estrogen and goof up your hormones, okay? That's your opener, right? But the coffee inside is more than likely contaminated with pesticides. Then you go to the bathroom. You start brushing your teeth, blah, blah, blah. There's animal byproducts in most of the toothpastes. A good number of them, you have no clue they're there. You got fluoride. Other chemicals are going straight below the tongue. But then you get out of the shower, you just dust it off. There was bisphenol A and phthalates and other chemicals, compounds, dangerous hazards in your shampoo.
Yeah.
and body
And to
wash.
polish it off, your body wash, and now you're going to start the day, but not before you put a little aluminum-based deodorant
Yeah.
on your.
His favorite.
Most people don't realize that before they've been awake for 2 hours, they've already contaminated their body with at least 7 or 10 to a dozen cancer-causing chemicals.
Yeah.
So what we're hoping to do, and Tom's teasing this, Daniel, I know we don't have a lot of time left, is we're hoping to move our line into that, but we got to find clean versions.
Yeah,
Can I jump in really quick? I just want to say, too, I want to point out there's a correlated relationship between illness and toxins in your body and psychological and emotional well-being. So
Absolutely.
we've been talking about health, but we've seen the depression and the anxiety rates spiking terribly, and especially in the last year. So you're saying that people are calling you and they're getting freedom. What is that? That's emotional freedom, too, in a lot of ways. So I needed to throw that in there. Now you can go.
No, you're exactly right. And it's so much even deeper than that. Like, there's no way for me to unpack science. This is why I'm so grateful to have programming for Eden's coming down the pipe.
Right.
Is because we do not understand, like, some of the therapies, I won't get into, like, transplants of, like, moving from people who are not depressed to people who are and what that means to them, like a 60% reduction in depression. Like, it is life. And that's the thing is, it's sacred. We've broken the sacred relationship. We have not been stewards. We just did whatever, and it's now time to pick up our swords, turn them to plows, and make this happen. And so it kind of segued back to our personal care thing, because what goes on you goes in you.
Exactly.
And that's the base part. And if you wouldn't put it in your mouth, you should not put it on your body.
Exactly.
And so we're going to offer our own line of personal care, shampoos, body wash.
We're very close on
Yeah,
that.
we're getting really close, all the way down to shave cream.
Yes,
and
exactly.
so
Which I used this
lotion.
morning, by the way, a sample of our incoming shave cream.
Yeah,
So-
and so it's as clean as we can really get in the industry. So we're excited to be able to give people that opportunity. And I do this with all of our supplements. When I sample these things and I get them in, I give them to our staff so that they can try them. So, like,
Our incredible staff.
yeah, our incredible staff. And many of us who aren't directly associated have taken a lot of supplements. I mean, almost all of us are on our own supplements. And, you know, and she could certainly personally testify to, like, the personal care products and to the supplements because she's taken and used it as well.
With less than 2 minutes left, I got to go back to this program, Return to Eden. People have seen the B-roll from earlier. Bree, of course, she'll be hosting the new program, and she'll be joined often by Daniel, as his schedule allows. But tell us a little bit about when you think that program's going to launch, and what will the focus be?
I'm so excited. I'm hoping that it launches within the next couple of weeks. We are developing program content even as we speak. However, I'm hoping by the time this airs that it'll actually already be going, but if not, then we
Awesome.
are definitely thinking summer. We're super excited. The content, you asked about that. It's going to cover a wide variety of things. Allie, I love that you mentioned mental health. That is something that is, like you said, skyrocketing. It's everywhere. Almost everybody has been affected or knows someone, so they're affected in that way, because your own pain doesn't just affect you, it affects others as well. And so we're going to be talking about things that pertain to healthy living, navigating healthy living, what that looks like in the, you know, content of how God designed it, what he wants for you. He doesn't want misery for you. He wants the best things for you. And so it'll cover a wide variety of things that pertain to healthy living.
And will you also sometimes have, like, Dr. Ralph and some of the other
Absolutely. Thank you.
natural paths
Absolutely.
that we know?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'd love to speak with them about a number of things.
Well, friends, I got to clarify something. If you're watching this from a Skywatch television-based platform, please don't be confused. If you go to skywatchtv.com, you may not find anything, if very little at all, having to do with Eden's Essentials, so I got to direct you to the correct website. For information about our products, what we're doing, DVD content, future video projects, you've got to go to edensessentials.com. The website is on the screen now. Unfortunately, we are all out of time. For everybody in the studio, what do you think about Daniel and Bree, huh? We love these guys. Thank you guys for being on the program today. I'm Joe Artis Horn. Keep your eyes on the prize, which is Jesus Christ. We'll be back.
Thank you for watching. Keep up with all of Skywatch TV's programs by subscribing to our channel at YouTube and following us on Facebook and Twitter.